Alright class, thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about what the 90s were like. An exciting time for sure. So we'll go ahead and join the Ramirez family as we go through the 90s. Here's the Ramirez family eating a meal. Wow, does that look good. So as you can tell right off the bat, the 90s were a time without electricity. We only had lanterns, like so. And for the most part, we went ahead and ate pie all the time. This was because pie was very popular in the 90s, and that is a fact. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So, as you can see, it was culturally unacceptable to wear pants in the 90s. You were subject to wearing dresses at all times, both male and female. I know it's a little bit hard to see a little boy in the background there, but yes, he is indeed wearing a dress. The really cool thing about the 90s, though, is you got these really cool chanclas. Wow. I would wear those if I could. Probably also get arrested for showing my toes, though. It was a sad time, though, as you can tell. This girl is stuck in her room because in the 90s, it was actually illegal for some time to leave your room. And that is a fact. So here's actually the Ramirez family outside their house. A very exciting house. This is actually probably a very high class house. You can tell they have a fireplace that's extremely fancy. They have at least one chair. You know, this is the upper class, if anything else. The boys were obviously feeling a bit promiscuous in this event. As you can tell, they're wearing pants. But this is at their house, so it's probably acceptable. Guitar was actually fairly popular back in the 90s. It just came out. So people were playing the guitar every day. No one actually knew how to play the guitar. They didn't know any of the things that we know today about guitar, like how to play it. But they enjoyed holding it awkwardly. I will say that much. There she is again. See, she is probably... So this is a distant family, right? And obviously she does not have a chair to sit in. She's sitting on rocks. She must not be as upper class as the other family. So as you can tell, this guy just got back from the military. Back in the 90s, we were, of course, in World War II, and it was a very dark time. However, as you can tell, he got back safe. This is pretty typical for the time. Most people did survive the Great War. So, fairly uncommon knowledge, but the lower class at the time would drink Clorox bleach out of their wells. This is part of the reason why the mortality rate was so high at the time. They didn't realize it was bad for them, but it really was. So, the more you know. See, she looks all happy. She really does. She won't be. As you can tell, cactus farmers were big at the time. Cactus can grow in deserts. Pretty decent monetary return if you were indeed able. Like I said, cactus farmers, very common. This guy's actually reading the local newspaper. He just found out that the Cubs retired as a baseball team. Sad day. So, yeah, we're going back to this house. We got a different angle this time, so we can definitely see that the house is not a normal triagonal roof. It is actually multi-sided, and this is just again to show the extreme wealth of this family. Like, can you take a chill pill for a second? Because some people need a little bit more money than you're spending on your roof. Of course, this family also looks like they are indeed meat processors as well. It's very common at the time to have one or two occupations, maybe even three, maybe even four, maybe even five. I could see six being a possibility. Seven, it's likely. Eight, there's a chance. Nine, it could happen. 10, I could see it, yeah. 11, probably not. See, she does have at least 3 occupations, as she's also the front of store, it looks like. And we can get a lot of this. They were selling the legendary snack No-Go. It's no longer a thing, but at the time it was really good until they found out that it was tobacco-based and was highly addictive, and they were giving it to children. So over here, we do have fresh bananas, which you can tell because they look like bananas. So that is exciting to see some banana representation at such a dark time. So yeah, just a small kind of nook in the wall type shop. You got your No-Go, you got your bananas. The Ramirez family is probably getting a lot of their wealth from this little shop. Of course, at the time, marriage was the only acceptable way to be in contact with a male or female or whoever is the opposite gender. So if you were actually, in fact, a male, you would not see a woman until you were married to her, and that is a fact. It was a lot more strict of a time. But yeah, believe it or not, this is actually a couple, and it was historically accurate to say that the woman would be sometimes twice the age of the male, and that's just how it was back then. It's not like that anymore. Usually you see either them being around the same age, or sometimes the male is really old for some reason. But back then, opposite.